Hey there, it's Elizabeth, and welcome back. I hope y'all are doing well. Today I'm going to do the beginning of the evolution of my Fauxbonichis. I have been doing Fauxbonichis since 2015, and this is part of a series that I have on the channel called What is a Fauxbonichi? So what you're looking at right now is the Fauxbonichi page for March 27th and 28th of this year. And I use altered composition books, okay? I prefer the Staples brand graded notebooks and I alter them. So I cover the front. This is covered with a simple calendar page from the Dollar Tree with a little bit of washi on it, and I cover the back with a piece of scrapbook paper. I put two eyelets, one in the front and one in the back, tie on either some scrap ribbon or scrap fabric for a closure. And then on the inside, I cover the inside cover with a piece of scrapbook paper. I always put a pocket here to put a few little bits, maybe of Happy Mail or magazine photos or little clip art. And then I have my calendar here, okay? And then I just start going. I do washi tape the sides of each of my pages, and then I just go from there, putting in my little ephemera bits and projects I've worked on and all of that stuff. So let's start out with my very first book. Okay, so this is my very first book that I did. Let's move. My desk is a mess. I'm really sorry. Oh, ignore all that. Okay, so here's Fred. He says, "Good morning." Okay, so this is my very first one that I did. In the background, I just did in a painted paper, printed out on my computer a little quote. The back I did painted papers and wrote out a quote that meant something to me at the time. This is a regular composition book, regular lined composition book, because I was just starting out, so I didn't know what I wanted to use. A lot of people use a lot of different books. I said in the past videos, some people use Traveler's Notebooks, some people use the Miguel Ruiz book, some people use just whatever journal they can get their hands on. Some people use, did I say Moleskine? They use Moleskine, and even still, some people make their own. They make their own junk journals. So I choose to use the altered composition books because I like that the best. And then after I'm done with the book, I simply, sorry for the glare, I just put on a little label with packing tape and I write the dates so that when it's sitting on my shelf, I can see in a row the dates of my books. Okay, so my style has changed a lot over the years. So when I first started out, this was my very first book. And again, I chose altered composition books because that's what I had readily available. I didn't want to go out and buy anything special. So I had a little bit of washi tape, I had scrapbook paper back from my scrapbooking days, and that's how I started. So I decorated the front of it with painted papers. I glued, and of course it's like not glued very well, but I glued 3 pages together and 2 months fit into each book. So this originally, behind this like wallpaper kind of stuff, or wrapping paper it was, I had put a calendar, and it ended up not working out for me because I keep a separate calendar in my purse, so I didn't need it. I covered it up and left it that way. And this is how I started out. I had my headers up at the top, which is reminiscent of the Hobonichi, which this is based off of. The Fauxbonichi is a DIY Hobonichi. So I have my headers up at the top with the weather and the month and the day and all that kind of stuff. And then when I started out, I was looking on a lot of different YouTube channels and seeing how they were doing their Fauxbonichis, and a lot of them were making little sections in their books and writing different things in. And so some of the things, like I had, thought for the day, sometimes the books that I was reading, what was going on in sports, just different types of things all sectioned off. Okay, so that's how, and wonky little drawings here and there. You know, that's how I started off. Oh, and the pens, when I first started too, I didn't have very many pens. And the one set I did have of colored pens was the friction pens, which are the erasable pens. And I used those for a while, and then I stopped using those and found that I really enjoy the flare pens. So as you move along and as you do your Fauxbonichi, you will find your style, you'll find your little niche, you'll find what works, you'll find what doesn't work, and you'll change that accordingly. So then, even not even a week into it, I started adding little tip-ins, you know, and I started adding in more wonky drawings. So, yeah. And I'm sure I got these ideas from the Fauxbonichi journalers group. You know, I saw, oh, somebody put a journaling card in and attached it with a piece of washi tape. So I thought, well, let's see. I have more to write. I have no more room allotted on my page. So let's put a tip in. So I started doing that. Here is when I started like coloring in the backgrounds with colored pencils. At the time I was using what I had, which was Crayola colored pencils. And I started experimenting just with, you know, different types of borders, different types of lettering. So that was a lot of fun. And then I realized that I could actually photocopy some of the things that were going on in my life. Like these were the books that I was reading at the time. So I simply photocopied them and resized them to fit into my book. Still wonky drawings, more wonky drawings, tip-ins, little quotes or what I'm thankful for. And then here we are. This is, I guess, a week and a half into it. And I decided that I did not like the white space at all. So I started covering up every inch of my page with colored pencils. Again, at this point in time, I was using what I had, which was Crayola. And sectioning using different forms of sectioning, little bubbles, different handwriting, using some markers with outlining to kind of decorate my lettering. And so that was fun. And also I started using a lot of clip art. Okay, so that clip art like became my best friend because I figured out very quickly that I did not care to draw. So I would go to my computer, and I do have, I'll link it below, I do have a very crudely made video about using clip art and how I do my clip art and how I resize it to fit in the book. So I'll put that in the link below if you'd like to know more about that. Excuse me again. And then also magazine clippings I started putting in here. You know, just a combination of clip art, magazine clippings. This is clip art, little flip, tip in, wonky drawings still, different lettering everywhere, you know. Then I was working on some other art projects, so I had used some of the stencils and acrylic paint. That's one of the things, again, I mentioned in another video that I really enjoy about gluing my 3 pages together in the composition book, because I can literally throw anything at these books and nothing ruins them. Okay, on this page here is acrylic paint, this is distress ink. This is archival ink from a stamp. So yeah, I could use just about anything. One moment while I reprimand Jackson. Jackson, come here. Come on. Okay, stay in here, honey. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so then I started experimenting with things. And like I said, you experiment, you find out what works, what doesn't work. Colored pencils work great for the background. This stuff, whatever it was, I can't even remember, did not work so well. So I never did that again. Also, just so you know, because I'm sure I'll get the question, I've had it before, is do I do my writing first and then color in, or do I color in the backgrounds and then do my writing? Typically, I do everything on here first. I glue my clip art in, I make my drawings, I do my lettering, I do all of my journaling, and then I color in afterwards. The thing is the reason why is because depending on what colored pencils you use, Some are, excuse me again, I'm so sorry. Some are more waxy than others. So you will ruin your pens if you color in first. So that's just my experience. I do all of my writing and decorating first, and then I color in afterwards. So we'll just kind of go through here. This is a Sharpie marker that I had with an outlining and flare pen. You know, just again, doing different, just experimenting, doing different lettering, different layouts. Every page is different. You know, I have no worries about coordinating colors or what I'm doing or anything. It's just whatever I feel like doing that day. So again, didn't have really much to write, so everything was big and I covered the whole page. Here I had a little bit more to say, so I had, you know, different drawings, different little sections of things. Yeah, and it just goes on like that. This was a crazy stick everything in kind of day. We had gone out shopping, and these were a few of the things that I had gotten, some washi tape and I had ordered Inktense pencils. Again, I just simply photocopied this, resized it to fit in my book. So the packaging from the cinch that I got, and yeah. So on some days, I don't even know what happened because I didn't put notes or anything. So I simply wrote it out, I don't even know, and colored the background in. Some days were a Calgon day. So yeah, it just goes on from there. I did used to do like a few of the prompts that our group used to have. We don't do prompts anymore. So yeah, some were prompts, some weren't. They're just about what's going on in my day. Some days this was a day. Yeah, today was just a horrid day. So I sat in my room and I made a tangle. So some days are, you know, more creative looking, or, well, this is creative too, but some are just sitting and doing something that is monotonous and fun and turns out pretty, and other days have a little bit more thought put into it. This is my very first painting using Inktense pencils, a peacock. I'm sure I got it from Pinterest. Love the way he came out. Some days I just put stickers in, you know, and stamps because that's just how I was feeling that day. So it goes on from there. The rest of the book is pretty much the same. Just, you know, some experimenting with drawing. This is acrylic paint. Putting in tip-ins, putting in photos, more photos. So yeah, just really kind of, this first 2 months was me finding my style. Okay. So let's see what my second book looked like. Okay, so here was my second one. I did a simple collage of magazine pictures on the cover, and that was pretty much it. I did not put anything over the top of it. Let's see if I did anything to the back. Nope, didn't even do anything to the back. My typical pocket collage on the left, and then here we started. So here is kind of, you know, when I got into this month, oh no, this isn't my second book. Hang on. Duh. That's why I have them labeled, Elizabeth. Okay. This is, again, the closure with some seam binding. This is a collage I did, but I actually did put packing tape over it to protect it a little bit. So, yes. Okay. So into the third month now, I was starting to really like make it more of a colorful hot mess. So, and again, I used a lot of clip art, magazine photos, things like that. So this is how this turned out. Some days don't have sections. I just decorated the page and used a picture of my messy desk. And then some days I had more, you know, little sections. Sometimes I wrote in cursive. Sometimes I wrote in print. Later on, I ended up really enjoying the consistency of my printing, so that is pretty much all I do now. Sometimes it's little lettering, which I don't like. Sometimes it's bigger lettering. Here I was still using those friction pens, which I ended up not using anymore. Again, with just the sectioning, whether it's with washi tape or little bubble borders or whatever. This was our boat. Still doing some, you know, wonky drawings. Just big clip arts of memes that I had found. adding in lyrics, you know, magazine clippings, lettering, and yeah, pictures. My daughter and I did a little painting of the little K that's by our house. This is a painting I did, and this was the original that I got it from. Yeah, so this is how this went, you know, week from hell. I guess it was a bad week. More Inktense paintings, a larger flip out. This was from a prompt we did. Some days I didn't have much to say. Obviously, I had doctor's appointments that day, so I put in a bunch of little funny cartoons about that. Did some drawings here. Yeah, and so it goes on like that. And, oh, this was all just a big blur. So that happens. Some days are more colorful than others. I was making a junk journal this day or finishing it up. This is my cover for my April. We used to have these calendars for all the prompts. We don't do that anymore, but I used to just print them out and stick them in here. And more colorful hot mess, right? My beautiful family. Yeah. My beautiful husband. More paintings. So it's just everything is thrown into this book, but it's all about the daily goings on of my life. What we were doing that day, what I was doing that day, all of that. Just, again, experimenting with different writing, different types of writing, sectioning areas off. Yeah, this was my husband's hospital trip up to Minnesota. Yeah, my in frame. Okay, yeah, so that's how these went. These were my very first books. That was yeah, I guess I had a really rough month and did a lot of writing. Okay, and so that was my second book, and then I'll just briefly show you this one. This is my third book, and this doesn't have packing tape over the top. And it's just a regular composition book with my 3 pages glued together. And then now I'm into the 5th month of the year of doing this, my first year, and I really started doing like the colorful hot mess. This is when I switched over from Crayola colored pencils to what are they called? Prismacolor color pencils, and I really love those. They're super duper creamy, and they're really bright and vivid. Like this right here, this lighter color is a Crayola. This up here is one of my favorite colors from Prismacolor. So this is where I really started into the colorful hot mess, and these pages used to take me like 2 hours to finish. Oh, this was a simple black and white page. I love doing these whimsical trees. I have a whole sketchbook filled with these black and white trees with Bible verses in them. So that was a fun, different page. Again, like I said, I don't coordinate my pages, you know, my different spreads. Like, I don't care if the left looks like the right or if the colors match or anything like that. These are just, again, just different handwriting, different clip art, a lot of clip art, stickers, sections, you know, so this is what this book looked like. Very, very colorful, very colorful. So, yeah, that's what that looked like. This, that's it. Yeah, so that's how these looked. Oh, and look at there, I have a blank page. Yeah, I have 2 blank pages. Obviously, I didn't care to go back and get them done. So this is just a white and black page with a lot of different clip art. These pages are so fun to do, and I don't do them right now anymore, and you'll see as I go through this series, but I really, really enjoy doing these pages, and I love going back and looking at them. Just so much stuff on them, you know, little drawings, hand lettering, little memes, clip art. This is all, you know, magazine clippings. So there you have it. Those are my first 3 books. And as you can tell, it took me about 5 months to really get into my style and figuring out what I liked at the time. And so, yeah, look forward to the next few installments, or maybe at least one more installment of a few more books I've done and up until what I'm doing now. Because, again, my style has changed. So, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for sticking it out with me. And what I'm also going to do is link below. I have another playlist that has Fauxbonichi quick flips. So they're of my books. I've only got a few in the playlist right now, but I intend on going through all of my books and just doing like a 3 to 5 minute flip through of all the pages so that you can just see my style and see how it's evolved over the years. This is my 4th year doing the Fauxbonichi, so go ahead and check those out. I'm going to try to film a lot more of those quick flips, just so for those of you who don't like all the yammering and reminiscing when I go through my regular flip throughs, y'all can just see the design of my page and basically what I have on it. And of course, as always, if you have any questions about anything, leave them below and I will get back to you, either in a response on the comment page or I will do a video response. So just let me know. And yeah. So again, thanks for hanging out with me, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a really, really great rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Bye.